Are you ready? Here we come with a network podcast. Ever wonder what it takes to turn big city experience into a small town impact? Today's episode is all about taking global talent and making it local, and how two award-winning creatives are helping businesses in NCW tell stories that actually connect. Hey there, and welcome to Networked, real talk to inspire, invest, and empower right here in North Central Washington. I'm your host, David Mabee, the marketing director at NCW Tech Alliance. Each episode, we're going to sit down with the builders, dreamers, and doers who are shaping the future of our region, one bold idea at a time. Today, we're joined by a powerhouse creative duo, Jess and Dan Pappas, co-founders of P2X in Wenatchee. After years of working with global brands and big agencies in New York City, LA, and Portland, earning accolades like Cannes Lions and Telly Awards along the way, Jess and Dan returned to their roots in NCW to launch a studio dedicated to storytelling that actually means something. At P2X, they help businesses, nonprofits, and individuals tell their stories through stunning video, design, and photography. But beyond the visuals, they're helping people connect with their mission, their audience, and their why. We'll talk about their journey from major cities to mountain towns, what it's like to build a creative business in a smaller market, and the power of the stories that come from the heart. Also, a fair warning, there's a good chance their dog Abner, P2X's unofficial mascot, may just steal the spotlight. But let's bring in Dan and Jess from P2X.
Hi.
Dan and Jess, how you guys doing today?
Good. How's it going, David? Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's going great here. The crowd's fired up. You guys fired up?
We're fired up.
Yeah, where's the crowd? Our house or your house?
They're all behind me. You can't see them there. It's a little lit in here, as you can tell. Hey, just so you guys know, you're the first network podcast interviewees we've ever had. So congratulations.
Cool. It's an honor.
Hey, and I appreciate you guys. You guys do amazing work for us, and I really appreciate having you here. So
we're excited to be here.
All right. I want to get into kind of your creative journey here. I know you guys, tell us a little bit about your time in New York City, Los Angeles, and Portland area, and what stood out about some of the projects and lessons that you've learned in those bigger markets.
Yeah, just a quick kind of background for me and my creative journey, if you will. I went to school for graphic design on the West Coast here in Pasadena, California, at Art Center College of Design. And then after graduating, kind of made my way different agencies and studios and shops. And I took a job in Portland, Maine, of all places, where I ended up then moving to Boston, then ended up in New York. And just from moving around across the country and working at big places, it was kind of interesting to just see the process of how creativity turns into a product, and just the kind of different layers and checkpoints and just the overall process that takes. It was pretty eye-opening. And that's been, learned a lot of how to create things, and to me, how to be more efficient in the creative process along the way.
Yeah, and Dan, you've worked with some pretty big names like JetBlue. I think you guys are working with MLS. So what are those? And you even brought home a Cannes Lions bronze, which I'm not sure what that is. If you could tell maybe the listeners what that is. But what was that experience like?
It was kind of honestly that was a funny one, because it was just kind of business as usual. I was working on a project for JetBlue. It was a kind of mini campaign, and we filmed a couple spots for it, and that got submitted to Cannes. And yeah, we got the bronze in film craft. So it was kind of just news to me at the end of the day, but a byproduct of just doing it.
Yeah, it's awesome when you win an award for something you didn't even know, right? Like I won an award at Mission Ridge for like best use of video for this national ski area, and I was like, oh, my boss submitted it, and he did all the work, and we won, and he was like the executive producer. So for him, like we won it together. Yeah. He was like, oh, we won, sweet.
At that agency level, there's people that's kind of their job, is to be in charge of submissions and finding where work can get submitted, and awards are a big deal in that world.
Yeah, but I guess creating. Have you ever tried to create a piece of work to try to win an award?
I've never had that goal. I've just always wanted to do the best I can, kind of figure out the best kind of form of communication solution for a brief that that we're given.
But I do think that's almost kind of like having like a lot of Instagram followers, like having a lot of awards like on your resume. Is there's something like that kind of like makes you more, people take you more serious, or like, like just looks more impressive. But I feel like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of get those built up and it's like, oh, cool. But like usually that's not the intention.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going for that intention, it's not going to work. It's like trying to make a viral video. It
Exactly.
usually
Yes.
doesn't
Yeah,
work.
exactly.
So just talk about that. You moved from between commercial work and to teaching, and kind of how does that shape your voice as a storyteller, and how did that journey happen?
Yeah, so after grad school, and my grad program was Masters of Fine Art, and so it was a very like conceptual program. I thought I was going to go into the art world and be showing in galleries and doing weird performance work, but that didn't happen. And but all of my skill set, everything I was learning was video production and or using video as art, as a tool, photography and design. And so then I took that and got a teaching job, teaching in an alternative high school in Portland, teaching kids who had dropped out of high school who were trying to get their GED, but also get some kind of experience that they could take into the creative realm. There was two programs, an art kind of focused program and then a construction program. So I got all the cool art kids, and it was awesome. I thought this teaching job was going to be like a kind of stepping stone, 6 months to a year. And I ended up being there for 4 years because I just really loved what I was doing. And then after that, I ended up moving to New York City, getting a job, a really like entry level grunt job at a production, like a sporty production company. Yeah. And quickly like realized, okay, I think I can I just had to kind of prove myself in a new way, even though that was all the things I knew how to do. I had never done them like in the city or for a production company. So I really had to like prove myself, and I worked really hard. I worked a lot of hours and kind of just kept like very quickly going up this ladder. And within a couple of years, I held the title of creative director and was producing and directing shows for the Olympics, for BBC Sports, doing editing for NBC Sports. So it was a fast and furious few years of life. And then we met and kind of decided that we didn't really like this like big corporate production company agency game. We had learned a lot, but I think we learned a lot about what we didn't want to be doing and how we didn't want to be creating video content and art, and so that's kind of how that started.
So you guys met in New York. So then how does this journey of you and Dan meeting in New York, doing all this agency work, how does that lead you guys to moving to Wenatchee?
You mean
COVID?
Yeah, the short answer is a little thing called the pandemic.
Yeah. And I grew up in Kashmir, so that's kind of, my parents are still here, and we're living in Kashmir, and we decided to spend a little bit of our pandemic time in Kashmir.
But since we met, we always had the idea, kind of kicked around the idea of what it would look like to go out on our own and combine our skill sets and see if we could make a go of it.
And come back to the West Coast,
yeah. Okay, I was gonna say, were you guys thinking, you're in New York? Are you thinking, hey, we could do this here? Are you thinking, hey, this is something we could do maybe in a smaller market, but for any reason? I mean, what surprised you about coming back and working in a smaller market after you guys worked in these major markets for these major campaigns?
I think community is a big one. There definitely was sense of community in New York a bit, but not the same as it is here. There's something really rare in Wenatchee, and I think in maybe smaller cities like this. I've never really lived anywhere else like Wenatchee, but there's something like really special here about the community. Our clients aren't just our clients; they're also our friends. They're people we run into when we're out to dinner. They're people that they run businesses and organizations that we really care about and support, outside of just being a client studio relationship. So I think that like creates a richer story, a richer experience for both us and them. And I just don't think that's something we would have gotten in New York. And I mean, the obvious is also price. Right. I think it would have been really difficult to take a risk being in Manhattan in New York City with our rent for our 400 square foot apartment was like twice as what our mortgage is here.
That's good. I lived in LA, so I get it. Our 1 bedroom apartment costs more than our 3-story house here.
Yeah. So it felt a lot easier to take a risk here.
Right.
And a place we wanted to like be long term. I don't think either of us saw ourselves. We both kind of, I mean, I guess I'm speaking for you. We wanted the experience.
Yeah,
We got it.
I think we thought we were big city folk, and then after a couple of years, it's like, you know what, I enjoy space, enjoy being able to hop in the car
And I totally get it. I grew up in a small town, and I was like, I'm never moving to a small town again. I moved to LA, lived in LA for 14 years, and then I convinced my wife, who's born and bred in LA, to move to Wenatchee, and rough times there for a bit, but she's adjusting. I think now that we have kids, it's a little easier. But so getting into creating P2X Studio. First off, what does P2X stand for? Is there any specific meaning to it? Is there anything? How'd you guys come up with that name?
We always say that we should probably come up with a more elaborate story, but it's actually really simple. It's just our acronym for our last name, so Pappas and Pearson. And instead of having like Pappas Pearson Production, whatever, like making it sound like a law firm or something, we want the kind of quicker acronym of P2X.
Yeah, and PP wasn't cute.
Yeah. But I mean, since then we've kind of tried to use the two P's as a way to like expand some kind of like language for us. Like we've made little merch tchotchke things that does these really cool little illustrations where like pizza palm or party pig. It's kind of a way to play with the language a bit.
Well, then I noticed you guys always have hi, like on your coffee cups right there. You always have hi as well. What does the hi mean, and how does it tie into your guys' brand?
Well, Dan always says when people ask, like, what does hi stand for? He always says,
it's shorthand for hello.
But I mean, really, it's just like a way to like be fun. I think when we started, we actually kind of started the idea of our company when we were in New York still. We rented like what's that called? Like a meeting room workspace. And we like spent a full day like dreaming up like what would our business look like if we ever started a business. I don't know, this is what you do for fun, but so we kind of started the idea there. But then when we actually kind of made it a reality, we started building collateral like business cards. And it was like, if you're going to give your business card to someone, it should be something that makes them smile or something that they remember, not just like another standard, Canva built or whatever business card that you stick in your pocket that looks the same as everyone else's.
Right.
So that's kind of where we were like, what would we want to see on a business card? And I think every conversation, every email, every pitch deck we send out, it always starts with our hi. And I think that's like something that's kind of important for us.
Yeah, because I think you've been around for about 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah,
okay.
Somewhere in there.
But I noticed you guys do some events for the Tech Alliance, but I've also seen you at other events, and then I've seen some of your gear around town, like must have been handed out at events, and I see the pink hi, and it's like instantly now I know that that's a P2X piece of swag. So subconsciously, I think it's great marketing. Like you're not putting P2X in the face, but you are in the minds of everybody in a subtle way.
Well, at the end of the day, no one wants to like carry around merch that has logos on it. That's just my opinion.
Logos.
It's just you'd rather have something fun, from a company that like a Nike logo is different than like our logo, so it means it like holds different like weight. But so we just kind of thought if we're gonna make merch for people, like we should make something that maybe they would want to use, that's like more fun. And we've gotten some pushback. Like some people have said, well, your logo's not on it, so how will anyone know? But like, you know what I mean? So if you know,
that's what I'm saying. That they don't get the long. I think the long-term goal here is now you're associated with hi, and like, that's brilliant.
It's all,
like pretty soon somebody's going to say hi in Wenatchee and you'll be like, P2X. Like, it's going to be like some subliminal thing.
I must hire them for a video.
So geniuses, you guys are geniuses. What's something you think people misunderstand about creative work here in smaller communities?
I think one of the things I think is like being in a smaller town, I think there's this like misconception that the talent isn't going to be as good as someone from a city. And I just think that's like so not true. I think a lot, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I've noticed some companies here hiring out from like a bigger city thinking that they're going to get better work. And, I guess it's case by case, but I don't necessarily think that that's true, especially post-COVID. I think, a lot of people have relocated to smaller town life, and there's a lot of, but even before COVID, like coming here, I did not expect there to be other video production companies and so many creative people. And we have met so many talented people, so many talented designers, photographers, tons of talented videographers. And it's really cool because there's a ton of work that needs to be done, and there's plenty of work for everyone, I think, and everyone kind of has their own style. But I think before you, as a business, think the only way you can get a professional video done is to hire out from Seattle or elsewhere, I think there's a lot of really cool opportunities right here in our valley, which is pretty exciting.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think anybody has to do to check out your work is just check out your website, and you can see your guys' top-notch stuff. So it's awesome to have it in the valley. Yeah, it's crazy when I moved here, the production companies, like the video, there's North 40, there's all these guys, and you're like,
Vortex, yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of those guys were at the same company and have kind of ventured off and done their own thing. But like weddings, there's all sorts of stuff to do around here too, and so you get some really amazing creative people, and it's a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, it is.
Can't complain.
Yeah. So what's your guys' approach to helping small businesses or nonprofits kind of tell their story visually?
I think we kind of start from like our goal is every project we take on, even if it's a client we've worked with multiple times, we kind of take each project from a blank piece of paper. We don't have a template. We don't have a set standard of questions that we ask in the intake call. And our intake calls maybe aren't even like intake calls. It's more of like, let's grab a cup of coffee and get to know a little bit about what the story you're wanting to tell. Because I think, if you start getting into this like templatized way of working, you lose the like spark and the magic and the uniqueness that like each project that we work on is super unique, and we want to tell those stories in the best way that's going to highlight them. Whether that's, sometimes it might be like, hey, we should just do a photo series, not a video, but like, or this should be more design heavy than video heavy. So it's like, kind of depends on the project, but we really try to approach each one like special.
Yeah, I think for us, we have the advantage of it's just us two, so there's no like layers or bureaucracy or kind of checkpoints internal checkpoints that we need to hit. So we have the ability to just sit down and have an honest conversation with a client and just collaborate and just what's your goal and how can we best kind of serve you and come up with the best solution for your either business need or communication need.
Right. That's awesome. And then do you guys have like a standout project that you've worked on here, or a favorite group you've worked with?
I mean, we like all of our clients. We really do. Like, we're really lucky. And like I said, like all of our clients have become our friends. We do a lot of work with Confluence Health, and we've really enjoyed getting to know like their marketing team and the really rich stories that are right here, kind of within Confluence Health. And so we've been doing a lot of work with them. We've been working, a newer client is Cashmere Veterinary Clinic. They're amazing. They're providing resources to our community that are hard to find in the state of Washington. And it's pretty cool. Like, people are coming from all over the state of Washington and even Canada to come to Cashmere to get services for their pets, acupuncture and light therapy and hydrotherapy. So we've been getting to do that. And plus we love dogs. So it's been fun to get a film with other doggies and stuff like that. So that's been a fun one. But we also love Wellness Place and Sage Advocacy Center. All of our clients are amazing. The Tech Alliance, obviously.
Thanks. And what's up, Abner? How you doing, buddy? He's being very well behaved today.
Yes, he is.
I think he's still asleep.
Okay,
cool.
So you guys were talking about storytelling and storytelling that matters. You guys just wrapped up a documentary about your great uncle Vic. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that project came about?
Yeah, so my great uncle Vic served in Vietnam, and he fought in a battle called the Battle of Ashau, and it's a pretty intense story, and one that my Gramps would always tell my brother and I. And great uncle Vic was Gramps' brother-in-law. So that's kind of how the connection is. And you kind of got these people in your life, like your great your step grandpa's great uncle, blah, blah, blah. And you don't really see those people that often, but it's still someone that you care about and love and a part of your family. And so when my gramps passed away, my brother and I kind of realized that those stories about our great uncle Vic kind of left with him, because that was something we had never really talked to our great uncle about. We never really spent enough time outside of like weddings or anything like that and family reunions to actually hear these stories from him. And so we kind of had this idea, and with Dan and the rest of my family, of like, we should really go down. We've got the video equipment. Why not go down and like learn this story? And so we kept, like, every time we'd get together, like right out in our backyard, we'd be having dinner, and that would always kind of become part of the conversation. Like, oh yeah, we really should do this. How cool would that be to tell this story, to document? And finally, it was my mom who was like, let's get this on the calendar. Because I think we all have those projects in mind where it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? But then you never do it.
Right.
We have a lot of those. But this was one I didn't really want to let slip by, because time goes by really fast and you can miss your opportunities to like connect with your older family members.
Right.
And so my mom was like, let's get it on the calendar. So we did. So we packed up, us and my brother and his wife, Allison, and my parents. And we went to Idaho and we rented a house and we stayed there for a long weekend, and we filmed every day. And the story is about my brother going on a journey to learn about our great uncle Vic. So it was really special and just a really cool experience. And I'd recommend, whether you have the skill set, the equipment, whatever, you can film things on your iPhone. You can film things, you can record audio on anything, and capture those stories of the people in your life that you want to know about and capture and record.
100% agree. And the time's fleeting, and as you get older, like, yeah, some of those things you think you can do in a week could be gone, just from personal experience. So if you're thinking about it, just do it. It doesn't have to be high quality, but those are stories and things you can tell and share with your future family and your kids can pass down. So that's amazing. So how did this project, did it shift your view of storytelling at all, or did anything change throughout the process? Like, did you guys go in with a specific thing you wanted to do, and did that change, or how did the process work and especially with family being involved?
For this one, we knew we kind of had a general sense of his story, and so we wanted to interview him and kind of get all the details. But after filming with him and having conversations with him and his wife Dan, we kind of got more of their own personal journey through that whole experience, and that kind of became their relationship, kind of became the anchor of the story. And really, like, his kind of experience was almost the like supporting kind of piece to it. So it was kind of interesting how even if you do set out with a goal, just if you kind of just be open to the process, I guess you can say, it'll kind of start to reveal itself.
And if you're not open to it, you can miss some of that stuff, which would be really unfortunate. So
Right.
we weren't even really we were planning on doing like a really small interview with my Aunt Diane, but then the way she spoke about Vic and their love, it was pretty powerful. I think like after her interview, we all looked at each other in tears and just said, like, this is the film. Like, this is it. She's kind of their love story. Yeah, we went to tell a war story, and we came back and told a love story. And I think that was kind of a cool experience.
That's very cool. How could somebody check that out if they wanted to check it out? Just to plug it here real quick.
We have a website. I think it's UncleVicFilm.com. I'll have to double check that. Yeah, we do have a website. You can find it on our website as well under our originals.
Okay.
It'll take you to the website. Right now, the film is private. It's a private link, but I think within the next like couple months, because we kind of have it out in like the film festival circuit.
Oh, cool.
In a couple months, it will be public. So, but
officially
released.
So have you guys heard anything back from any of those film festivals, or is that just in the process as of right now?
Yeah, we got into 2, but we haven't really like announced anything yet. But so stay tuned. We'll kind of announce some of that coming up. So.
Awesome. It sounds like we're setting ourselves up for a follow-up podcast with you guys.
Heck yeah.
So on that, as you're talking about crafting stories and things like that, so what's your philosophy with crafting stories that resonate for brands or clients?
I mean, I think it's like we were saying for us, just having that initial conversation with them, being open and honest with each other, and really working with them to tell the story that they want. Because we don't. I mean, we're kind of here to help. Like, how can we help you? We can be as creative as they want, but whatever kind of fits with their own vision. And
Yeah, and we do a lot of personal projects to kind of work out a lot of our like own creative ideas, and we can really like be creative and kind of take some chances that maybe like our clients aren't wanting. So that way, when we do approach client work, we're just ready to like tell the story that they want in the way that they are wanting, so that we don't really have an ego when it comes to if the style is off and they want something totally different. It's like, cool. All of
Right.
our kind of like the way we measure success is if our clients like super stoked and can't wait to share their story, you know.
Yeah, it's a good way to do business.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now we're just getting into the signature questions and reflection part of the network podcast that we're trying out here. So this first one is going to be Jess or Dan, either of you can take it. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to someone starting a creative business in North Central Washington, or just in general?
I would say for us, just you kind of just got to take the leap, really. I mean, you can think through every scenario and kind of calculate when would be like the perfect time, but in reality, that time's always pretty fleeting. And there's never really a right time. I think just time itself is probably one of the most valuable things. So, and in building any kind of business is going to take time. So just go for it.
Right.
Just take the leap.
Yeah.
Just do it.
One thing you don't get in life is more time. So, and it's with everything. Like people ask, like, how did you know it was the right time to have kids? It's like, you don't. I don't know if there's a right time to have kids. I don't know if there's a right time to start a business or any of that stuff.
Exactly. And I don't think, I mean, we don't have kids, so I can't quite compare it, but I think it's kind of similar in the way, yeah, you can plan and plan and plan.
Right.
Be like, I'm going to wait till I have this much money in my bank account or this much blah, blah, blah. And if you do that, you kind of end up maybe missing out or, you know.
Yep.
So it's like, you can never be fully prepared. It's just, you should just do it.
Yeah. So the next question here is there a skill you're still trying to master as a founder and creative leader?
I mean, I think the thing that we're every day we're learning new stuff, especially on the business side of things. This is the first business that we've both ran, and there's always something new to learn. Put it that way.
Gotcha.
As being kind of going to art school and being like the arty kids growing up, running a business is a whole nother animal.
It's a different side of the brain.
Right. Well, that's cool.
So.
And I know you guys, when you do your own stuff too, you always try different creative things. So I know you guys are always like learning and trying to do new things, but.
Yeah, we're like the nerds who like are constantly doing like tutorials and like watching the new stuff. I mean, and I think in our industry, especially since we use so much technology, like you have to be staying up on it. Otherwise you're going to get behind. Yeah. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people who are like, I'm not going to use AI and I think that's dumb. And it's like, you're going to get behind really fast and it's going to start taking you a lot longer to do things that other people can do really quickly. And I think if you sit back and don't do it, you're like, but you're setting yourself up for not to be in a great position in the future.
Yeah, 100% agree. You should be trying different things. And there's so many videos on YouTube and anything. If you're trying to learn anything, you can go down the rabbit hole all day and learn new stuff.
YouTube University.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, even Instagram, like you can watch like in 60 seconds, you can learn a new tool. Abner really wants to go sit in the sun.
It's okay. Abner, we only have a couple questions left, bud. So what would you consider your guys' superpower as creators?
I think I'll answer for Dan. I think like he is, his beginnings is as a designer. And I think he brings that design into our every project that we do, whether it is a design project or if it's video or whatever it might be, even crafting our decks that we send out to clients. I think having that really sophisticated design sets us apart in a different way. And I'm just really grateful for it because it's like a skill set that I don't necessarily have. I can try, but it's not the same. Like Dan's got this like really cool creative design sense that I've never really met anyone with that kind of level of design. So, and I've worked with some pretty great designers, but yeah, Dan is pretty impressive. So I think that's like a really big asset.
I'd agree, Dan. You're pretty impressive, buddy.
Geez.
Hey,
yeah,
shucks.
The crowd agrees. You hear the crowd there? They love you, Dan.
Yeah, I got the crowd going. I'll just add on that real quick is I think one thing that we really intentionally try to do with design is have it be incorporated kind of from the foundation and throughout every phase of a project, and kind of consider what the art direction is, what typography will look like across the deliverables. And I think this isn't throwing any shade, but I've seen it in big like in the big agency world a lot of times, even designs kind of the last step at the very end. It's like, okay, we've got the messaging down and the core idea, and then in the 11th hour, okay, now how's it going to look?
Right. And I think the bigger the agency or the company gets to, the harder that stuff is because everybody's trying to prove their worth on throwing in their 2 cents.
Totally.
Usually at the last minute.
But anyways, to get back to your question, I'll answer what I think Jess's superpower is just patience, empathy, and just she has this really unique gift to make people feel comfortable. And so whether we're doing an interview with someone or filming a scene, a majority of the times it's local business owners and people like that aren't necessarily, that don't have a lot of camera experience, and they'll be pretty nervous, but within a couple minutes she knows all the right things to say and just allows people to kind of be themselves, and you just get kind of I think it just calls for a better video or story.
You are really good at it, Jess. I've seen you in action. You're really good at it. And
thank you. I appreciate that.
Because it's as filming a lot of people as well, people are always ready off camera. As soon as that camera lens is on them, something happens your first couple times. And And honestly, if you're about to be on TV or film, just hold up your phone and practice a couple times. It's not that bad.
Totally. Yes.
Just pretend nobody's watching. Those are the advice I'd give. I don't know what other advice you give, Jess, to help people out through that.
Yeah. And I do the same thing. I'm like, practice in the mirror, film yourself, watch it back. It's very painful. No one likes to watch. Well, maybe some people do, but majority of the people I've talked to don't like to watch themselves on camera. They don't like to hear their voice. But practice it so that way you can see like, oh, I sound kind of dorky when I say that way. Or, oh, I sound super cool when I turn my head that way, or whatever it might be. So you kind of learn, even like with taking photos, I'm like, just practice in the mirror, practice the faces that you like. There's nothing wrong with practicing. But I've always kind of had a philosophy too. If you have a fun set, it's going to be a fun project. And I've been on so many sets that aren't fun. And back in the day that were stressful and chaotic and not fun. And those video projects didn't turn out very cool. So it's like, if you have fun, I always try to just build in time for that. I'd rather do something silly and like have fun and everyone remember it than like get that last shot that like you may not even use. You know what I mean? So
for sure. 100%. I think you get this for it.
Yeah.
Little air horn. I mean, I'm trying to bring a little bit of fun to Network Podcast here, I don't know if the crowd's going to like it, but sounds like they do like it. The last question here I have for you guys before we get going is, if you guys was a reality TV show, what would it be called and why?
I think it would have to be something about Abner. Abner. Yeah, just his little face popping out from the tree back there. I think it would be like Abner's World or Something like that, where you just follow Abner around all day, and then like in the maybe background blurry, like we're back there like making something or doing something.
I hear like a 80s theme song too to it, like the
Yeah,
Yeah.
we always say, yeah, he's got main character energy.
He has main character energy.
Oh yeah.
So
Abner's a character. I love that little guy. He's I think warming up to me, but I don't know. Last time he barked at me quite a bit, but we'll see. Abner, you're gonna come around, buddy.
that's just love. It's his way of saying I love you.
Yeah. And I told you I have Chihuahuas too, so I know how they act. Well, I want to thank Jess and Dan for being on our show today and Network. Thank you for being our first guest here on the Network podcast. I hope you guys had fun.
We had so much fun.
And real quick, how could somebody get a hold of you guys, or where do you want to drive people to check you out?
I think our website is the best way to check us out, and everything's there. Like we could give you our email address and our social, but it's all on our website. And
P2xstudio.com.
Yeah.
P2x.studio on Insta. Abner.graham on Insta. Hi at P2xstudio.com. We're around.
Yeah.
We're easy.
Don't call us because I won't call you back. I am
You're
really bad
at
with the phone.
calling and texting, but you know what? It's okay.
I'm really bad at texting too. Yeah. Thank you for calling me out for that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I've heard it's not just me. I thought it was just me, so I've heard you're not very good with other people as well. So I don't take offense to it.
But I will email you back. So
no,
yes,
you're awesome. You get back. Just partially poking fun at you because I know you. Well, anyways, thank you for joining us here on the Network podcast. Jess and Dan from P2X Studio, amazing interview. Yay. Thank you guys for being our first guest. That's going to do it for today. Make sure to check us out. We're going to be on YouTube on our YouTube/NCW Tech. We'll have it up there on our website. This will also be going out as an audio podcast on all the major platforms. So look for us. This hopefully will be posted here in the next couple weeks, and then we'll be posting these once a week, the Network podcast. So we are going to get out of here. Jess, Dan, thank you guys so much. We're bringing the fun back to podcasting. David Mabee here. We're sending it out. Enjoy the day. We'll see you next week here on the Network podcast.